Good morning. Today, my intention is to speak to you for about 18 minutes on what works and what doesn't in the context of employing two qualities, curiosity and compassion, in the service of education. And the first thing that strikes us is there are tons and tons of theory about both curiosity and compassion, but very little of it in practice. And this after Buddha, after Jesus, after Nanak, we are not able to activate what we completely see as necessary. And I'm very happy to be here addressing mostly teachers who are invested in the welfare of students. But I'd like to share a few ideas which I am actually testing out, and it'll be nice to know how it comes across to you. The first thing is, what creates a barrier in the practice of curiosity and compassion is our evolutionary baggage. 2 million years ago, when we were roaming the savannas, the idea was to survive and reproduce. And therefore, evolution has given us a default setting of anxiety more than tranquility. And that was because, say you were moving in the savannas, suddenly you heard a rustle behind the bushes. It is good for you to assume that it is a lion and take evasive action. Even if you are wrong, it's okay. But if you are actually making a wrong prediction, you become lunch for that lion behind the bushes. This is why anxiety is the default setting of the human nervous system. But now what has happened is, circumstances have changed, but we are living in modern age with Stone Age software. And the same thing happens to a student who sees the formula cos square theta plus sine square theta equals 1 on the board. He suddenly freezes, he doesn't understand. But the point here is to get into the zone of how three disciplines, which I am slightly familiar with, literature, philosophy, and neuroscience, what do they have to say about this particular impediment that we have? And it's very important to know that curiosity cannot come into action till we emphasize answers more than questions. The bottom line of curiosity is questioning. That's why Socrates has this idea of the unexamined life is not worth living. And somehow we are always after answers, and John Keats calls this negative capability. The ability to live in uncertainty and still be okay. It's okay not to be okay. What we drill into our students all the time, 24/7, is how not okay he is. And that is no way to trigger either curiosity or compassion. If wonder is the bedrock of curiosity, there is a philosopher called Spinoza who says, understanding is ecstasy. Understanding is ecstasy. And if the teacher cannot communicate this ecstasy of understanding to the student, it's very unlikely that the student gets triggered into higher possibilities of learning. And How does compassion work here? See, philosophy is the place where you train for compassion. How? Compassion comes when we completely realize that we all share one truth, that we all are in finite 4,000 weeks. That's all you got. Whatever your projects are, whatever your successes are, whatever your failures are, compassion comes when you understand that each one, there is a very interesting Vachanakara called Alama Prabhu in Karnataka. He says in Kannada, Sasiveyashtu sukakke sagaradashtu dukka. For a mustard seed of happiness, mostly we have to deal with an ocean of sorrow. And if you operate with this without being frozen by the truth of this fact, what happens is you move towards the actual possibilities of flourishing that modern neuroscience offers. Here I just want to bring to your attention 3 points. It's a excuse me, fabulous field, but for a start, let's understand that the brain loves questions more than mere information. And there are 2 brain systems which Daniel Kahneman, who says thinking fast, thinking slow, says system 1 and system 2. System 1 is fast, impulsive, emotional. System 2 is slow, reflective, and meditative. And if you can train your mind in these 2 senses easily and in coordination, something happens to your curiosity surface. And how this is picturized in knowledge systems of the East. See, there first is understand the dual system of the brain. Second, there is a quality called neuroplasticity, which is whatever you constantly focus on, that becomes a part of your mind. This is the insight behind the Sanskrit utterance, yad bhavam tad bhavati. As you think, so you are. Okay? So, neuroplasticity has a fantastic spin-off to your attention because we all have a psychic surface. I'll give you a metaphor because I am fundamentally a student of literature. Throughout our lives, our psychic surfaces come in different forms. The untrained, uninitiated, unreflective surface is actually like a rock surface. Somebody did not invite you to a birthday party, there's a scar on the rock surface. The truth about rock surface is whatever scars you collect right through the day or week or years stays there. It builds resentment. But once you understand neuroplasticity and neuro-awareness gets into your agenda, slowly the rock surface becomes sand surface. You know the difference? In sand surface, if you draw a line and run your hand across the sand, there is no line. Okay? Then it moves further to become what is called a water surface. On water, till the finger is on the water, you have the line. Lift it, it's not there. And the last one, in both East and West, this state is called Paramahamsapada. It's the sky surface. A bird that is flying does not leave a trace. And this is a lifelong journey along the possibilities of neuroplasticity. So, how do we become non-reactive surfaces in the mind, but only responsive surfaces? This is what neuro-awareness should tell you, and there are very specific techniques to teach it, to students and to learn for ourselves. That should become a part of our curriculum. Basically, knowledge is conceptualized in the Eastern tradition as prajna, and compassion is theorized as karuna. Now, how does this work in action? Let me share this through a Zen parable. This belongs to samurai time Japan, where there's a Zen master. He's an 80-year-old patriarch and is a fabulous master, and everybody wants to learn from him, but he has retired onto the top of a mountain, and he doesn't teach except one senior disciple who has been living with him for a long time. He only teaches that person. Here, in the town of Shinto, there is a student, 18-year-old. He wants to learn from this supreme Zen master, so he goes up the mountain, trudges up to the mountain, falls at the feet of the teacher, and says, "Teach me." The master says, "Sorry, I don't teach more than one student at a time. There are already one, and I've given up teaching." But this guy insists so much, and finally the master yields, but with a terrible condition. He's a samurai, and he says, "What can you do well?" he asks him. He says, "I play chess well." So does the senior disciple. Okay? So he says, "Okay, we'll arrange a chess match between my senior disciple and you. Whoever wins shall continue to be my disciple, but there is a catch, and it's a terrible catch. Whoever loses will be beheaded. You don't have to agree to this match. It's okay. Both of you can go. I'll stop teaching either. Leave me in peace." But this 18-year-old student and the senior student don't want to let go of this guru. They say, "Okay, we will take up the match." So there the match starts. There's a table and there's a chessboard. This side is the young student, 18 years. This side is the senior disciple. And standing and watching with a sword on the wall is this patriarch, Zen master. The match starts. This 18-year-old, bright, young disciple is so sharp, so magical, so mercurial in his moves that very soon he begins to dominate the chessboard. But just before he is to make the checkmate move, he looks up at the face of the senior disciple for a second. And then the game continues. But as the game continues, there is a subtle shift. And the shift is the senior disciple is actually in the ascent, winning gradually, now rapidly, and is just about to checkmate this young student. Just before the senior disciple places the checkmate last point, winning point, the Zen master kicks the chessboard to the skies and says to the young disciple, "I was watching. You were winning. There was no way this man could have won. But you took one look at the face of this senior disciple. You saw quivering lips. You saw a shadow of sadness and sweat beads on the eyebrow. And you made a decision. All education is fundamentally only two qualities: excellence and compassion. In the first half, you showed excellence. In the second half, you showed compassion. And with that, you have the complete qualification to be a student. I shall teach you." Thank you so much for your excellent attention. Thanks a lot.